In this lesson, I'm gonna tell you all about Google Merchant Center feed rules. And it's a very, very powerful feature in Google Merchant Center, but one that's not used a lot because it's kind of hidden and not a lot of people know about it. The very basics of it are that feed rules give you a way to add or change information in your product feed. Simple as that. Because your product feed is so central to shopping, feed rules will touch on multiple levels of your optimization pyramid. One, it allows you to improve your account structure. So let's say you add custom labels to your field. Well, you're better able to organize your campaigns. Second is, if you make changes to your product titles, you will start ranking for more interesting or more generic keywords. Then on the bidding level, if you have those custom labels in place, it allows you to set different bids based on the information in those custom labels. And on the level of the ads, if you're running a promotion and you're using merchant promotions, the feed rules actually allow you to change or to add a promotion ID to your product feed. So if that's a little bit vague, look back to the lesson on merchant promotions. So to recap, feed rules allow you to extend your product feed. It allows you to add, change, or delete values in your product feed. And this is actually the core functionality of many paid data feed management tools as well. So this is the case because in the past, this functionality wasn't in place in Google Merchant Center. So the only way to make changes to your feed was to go through one of these tools. But in a more recent update, Google added this functionality. And you'll see that it's kind of, once you know your way around, it's very powerful. But the UI and the interface sometimes isn't that clear. So that's why I still use a lot of those tools for their ease of use and also because they have other functionalities. So I would suggest before you make a decision on what you use, watch this lesson and then watch the lessons specifically on paid data feed management tools, and then evaluate yourself if you need it or not. In what follows of this lesson, I'm gonna take you through 4 examples. First is we're gonna add a custom label to our feed. Second, we're gonna add the promotion ID to our product feed. Third is we're gonna change a product title. And then lastly, we're gonna remove the free shipping mention from our product description. I'll explain you all in detail, so let's jump right in. You can find the feed rules interface if you go to products, feeds, pick one of your feeds, and then open up the feed rules section. So you will see that you have a section like this for each one of those feeds. So if you have multiple feeds, you'll need to reproduce those same values. By default, it looks like this. You have one rule and it's applied to all attributes, which basically means that it just takes the information it gets from your app or plugin or tool or something or backend, and it just takes it and gives it, puts it into the Google Merchant Center system. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna get in between that. So we take all the information that's coming from your plugin or app or something or e-commerce platform. We're gonna make changes before it is processed in Google Merchant Center, okay? So to start off, as I said, we're gonna create the custom label. So I'm gonna create a rule, and then I'm forced or I need to pick which value I wanna change. So this is the value we'll actually change. So here's the most common ones that people change. So you can do all attributes, so here you can choose everything, and the custom label is in here, shopping campaigns and other configurations. I'm gonna pick this one. So this is the overview where you do most of your work. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add the custom label here. In the lesson on custom labels, I told you that before implementing it in your feed, you had to create some kind of spreadsheet with an overview of all of your products. Here, I've done it again in a very simple way. So remember, I sell space posters and I'm gonna change the custom label based on my margin. This is of course a fictional margin because the margins between those products are very similar. But I'm gonna set the posters, all my moon posters, to a margin of 20 to 30%. The Mars posters do this one, and then SpaceX posters, those are my biggest margin products with a 40 to 50% margin. So this is what the margin looked like, and then translated to the custom label, it looks like this. So what I'm gonna do here is I can select the conditions. I'm gonna pick that. This will prompt me to choose like a feed, so I'm gonna set a special condition. If this is true, then do this. So here I'm gonna select the title. If the title contains moon, because that's how I'm gonna filter my different posters. You could also do that through category or through different ways. So here I'm able to add like more rules, or I'm able to add an or rule. So you can see here, you can get pretty complex pretty quickly. I'm gonna remove those. So if this is true, then I'm gonna set the value to 20 to 30. And then here I click add value and I click OK. So here you can see an overview of the rules. So if the content API, that's the name of my feed, and the title attribute contains moon, then set the custom label 0 to 20 to 30%. And then you can see here, if the custom label 0 has no value, use the default value that's coming in from the product feed. Okay? So that's the first one. But we also have to set up these extra ones. That's pretty easy. We're just gonna here do add source, which basically adds a rule here. And then here we change the conditions, update attribute if custom label 0 has no value. We don't want to do that. This is actually this rule, but copied. We're gonna do exactly the same in here. If the title contains, and then we're gonna do Mars. Okay, we're gonna set the value to 30 to 40%. Okay, so you can see here, this is kind of like the rule system. So clearly we can just add another one, and we do that. Okay, if the title contains, and then I set SpaceX, I'm gonna set the value from 40 to 50. That's it. That's the whole rule book that we're building. So if this is okay, right now we don't really need modifications. We've gotten all of our business logic into our system this way. Your rules might be more complex, or might go more in detail, or you might have a lot more of them, but the basic functionality is the same. Then I'm just gonna hit save as draft, and this will take me back to actually my overview screen. And then here you can see this is the default rule and this is the custom label. Now I can apply it, and then it will apply it to my product feed, or I can test the changes. So before you make any type of these changes, especially if it will have like a big impact, or you need to want to be sure that actually it's working. So you test changes. But if you hit test changes, it takes a long time. So if you're gonna add multiple values, it's better to do these at once and then see if all the information comes through. So I'm gonna hit test changes just to make sure that and just to show you what happens with all of the products I have. So I'm gonna hit test changes, and that's gonna start running. And then you have a break. You can go grab a coffee or something, because it actually will reprocess your whole feed, and it takes like a very long time. So here they indicate this test may take between 10 and 20 minutes. So you can see here it's very slow. I think you can close the window or do different things, but I usually just keep a tab open and then go work on something else and come back when it's done. The next example I'll take you through is to add a promotion ID to some items. So I'm going to create another rule, click here, again, shopping campaigns and other configurations, click promotion ID. So a quick recap for the merchant promotions. If you create a promotion there, you actually you have the choice to set it to all products or to specific products. And if you set it to specific products, you have to go back in your product feed and add that promotion ID to that specific product in your feed. If you don't do that, it gets rejected. So you can do that in a number of ways, but I found a very easy one is to do this through feed rules. So what we're gonna do is here, I have the promotion ID. So I'm gonna do promotion on Hubble Space Telescope posters. It doesn't really matter that you know what that is, but this is my promotion ID. So I'm gonna add this to all of the posters that actually are in this category. And again, how am I gonna do it? I'm gonna select, I know that all these products have in their title the word Hubble. So I'm gonna, some of them, so I've got this. And I'm also, I'm gonna choose the or if they have it in their description, because sometimes it's not in the title, and I do wanna make sure that they are included. So I'm gonna click here, set to. Okay, so the promotion ID is gonna be set to Hubble_promo 0918, which is the month. That's something I use a lot. And then if the title or the description contains the word Hubble. Okay. This might be a lot different for you. Maybe it's for a brand or for specific items, and then you'll need to set them here. So I'm gonna just hit OK here, and I'm gonna hit save as draft. As you can see, we have two rules here. Let's go for a third example and actually change a product title. I'm gonna add create rule, and we're gonna work on the title. To make changes to the product title, we need to delve a bit more into detail on the features of the feed rules. So here in this top menu that we've used the whole time, we can actually set a value based on certain values in the feed. We can extract data from our product feed and put it into other fields. But this is not something we want to do, because we can do this in certain cases. I'm going to change product title if it contains able. So this is one of my products. So if it contains this one, then I'm going to set it to, I'm going to make a change here. Let me, awesome, and then I paste the rest. Okay, so I'm gonna add this one, and I hit OK. So this will actually change the product title from this one to this one. But as you see, I have to change it for each and every title, which if you have a lot of products, it's actually not really something that's very useful. So you can do that if you have a couple of titles to change or you want to try some things out, but in this case, I'm not gonna do it. So I'm gonna remove this condition. Remove this as well. So remove this, just hit cancel. Okay. Actually, I can do like here, delete it. So what I do want to do is I don't want to take new data, but I want to change or modify data. So I'm going to hit here, add modification. If the conditions, and then you have to again select something. So actually, I can do exactly the same, but make it a little bit different. So if the condition includes this one, like this, okay, then actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add awesome to the product title. Okay, so this is the same that I did here. But the only thing I did here is it's a little bit more dynamic. So here it's adding only to this specific title, but I can change, for example, if the brand contains a certain, if the brand equals to a certain thing, I'm gonna add awesome. Or something that happens a lot is product titles get pushed through without including the brand. So you have all these product titles, but they don't include the brand. So what you could do is, let me close these conditions. You could actually prepend the brand to the product title. So what that would do is take the product title that is in your product feed and just add the brand before that. That's it. So you're gonna need to discover a bit how you want to do this, or maybe you do this for certain brands or certain categories to test it out. But this is really where the feed optimization comes into play. Like you have to, like I said in the lesson on feed optimization, you have to know what you're gonna change. It's kind of like an experiment to see what happens if you add certain data to your product feed. So this is something you can do. You can prepend information, you can add information behind it. So maybe you add to all of your product titles, maybe you add the size, for example. In your apparel categories, maybe you don't have sizes in your actual product title. Okay, so I'm not going to go through with this as it's very specific to your feed. Okay, I'm going to click discard, and that will remove that row. A last example is something that I also see a lot. I'm going to edit the description, and then I'm going to describe what I'm going to do. So in the Google Shopping specifications, there's a clear directive not to include things like free shipping or shipping promotion or something like that in your product description that you send to the product feed. So for example, here, one of my products actually has this phrase, free shipping to the EU and the US. So often people have this in their templates or something, but then when you push it through to Google Merchant Center, you might run into product disapprovals because of this. So what you're gonna do is we're gonna actually remove this phrase from all of our products. So I'm gonna select the specific phrase, and here, so we're going to change our description. So again, we don't need to add new information. We already have it populated, so we're going to go for the modification. So I'm going to hit cancel here, add modification, and then here there's the item find and replace. So I'm going to hit that, and then we're going to copy paste the value, find this value, and set it to nothing. Okay. You can make extra changes. You can add more things to find and replace. But for now, this looks okay. I'm gonna hit OK. And then actually, I want to show you a different functionality that's also in the feed rules section. So here on the right hand side, I haven't talked about this, but you can see a lot of different information. And what that does is kind of a preview. So if you hit the search glass, you can actually paste or type in an item ID. So if you know it by heart, okay, otherwise you might need to check. And this is the item ID that an item gets from the product feed that's actually used in your in Google Merchant Center. So here I've copy pasted the actual ID for this product. Okay. And here you can see that this is the information that got pushed through. So if we take a look, got printed on durable archival paper, and then we actually have this value. So if we here check, well, it's gone. So that's good. That's what we want to have. So this is a quick test you can run. So I'm going to hit save as draft. And that's it. That brings us again to the overview screen. After making changes to the rules, I ran another test, and again, it took some time. So one thing I want to say is, if you're running a test and you make a change, the time resets. I didn't know this, so I had to wait again a long time. So here you can see these three actual rules that I created, and I tested them. So here you can click show test, and it will show you the test results. Basically, it will show you how many things changed. So here you can see that this rule, custom label 0, it changed 132 products. You can open them up, and it actually gives some examples of what changed. So you can see here that SpaceX, remember I wanted to change that to the high margin. So it had custom label 0, and then I changed it to custom label. It had no value, and then here it is the new value. Same for the promotion ID. I can quickly see, okay, I have here a Hubble butterfly envelope poster. Doesn't really matter if you don't know what it is, but it didn't have a promotion ID, and now it has this one. So that looks pretty good. Then if you're happy with the changes, you just hit apply, and it actually will apply all of those rules to your product feed. If you're not happy, you can just delete rules like this, or just do discard to just clean the slate and start over new. So as you can see, there's a lot of options. I barely scratched the surface again of this tool that you can use, but in its essence, it's basically going to be more complex. You're going to try take more information from your feed, add more information, or customize it in your own way. And going through it the first time, it might not be super obvious on how to do it, but I would just suggest to play with it. And then you can't break anything, especially if you're just testing it. And just see where it gets you, and see if you're doing like the feed optimization, see if you can discover which changes will actually improve your feed.